Welcome to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. Thoughtful information and discussion with experts from both Burleigh and Morton County Extension Service offices. Extension Connection provides advice on family nutrition, issues in agriculture, lawn and garden, community leadership, homeowner concerns, and so much more. Live from the Super Talk 1270 studio, this is Extension Connection.
Welcome to the Extension Connection. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. Myself, Ashley Stegman, and Amelia Dahl, our 4-H agent. And today we are going to be talking about a bunch of different things. But first, I would like to congratulate all of our Burleigh County 4-Hers with their state fair exhibits. We had a lot of good representation from our county, and a lot of kids went home with some grand ribbons even, so that's even better.
Yeah, we had a lot of great kids showing static exhibits, horse exhibits, livestock. There were a lot of really great representation from Burleigh County up in Minot.
And also just a congratulations to all the 4-Hers of North Dakota. Great representation up at the state fair. Both myself and Amelia were at the state fair helping with some different contests and judging some of those static exhibits. So it was a great time shared by many, and we look forward to next year.
Definitely. Yeah, this was my first year up at the state fair. I'm not a native to North Dakota, and I've never made my way up there, so it was really interesting to see the amount of awesome projects that were up there. We had a chance to walk around the static exhibits, and I found myself saying, oh, I want to make that, and oh, I can make that, and oh, I think I could probably do that. So that was exciting, and my husband was not too impressed with that when I came home.
Oh, I'm sure he's now thinking, how much is that going to be a dent in his pocketbook?
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we did have a great turnout at the state fair, and again, just congratulations to all those 4-Hers and all the projects that they do. There's a lot of hard work and time put into those projects, whether it is a static exhibit or a livestock exhibit. Just kudos to all those 4-Hers for the effort and the time put into those exhibits for the 4-H year.
Yeah, they now have a little less than a month to kind of calm down, take a break before our new 4-H year starts up September 1st. So for all of you current 4-Hers, make sure you get enrolled after that September 1st deadline. And if you have youth who are interested in enrolling in 4-H, either in Burleigh or Morton County, we have very active 4-H in both counties. So please call your extension office, and we will get you set up and ready to go.
All right. That sounds great. All right. Well, I will start off, and I'm going to be talking about a few different things today. Of course, we got to talk about some of those garden problems that we're seeing both in our yards and in our gardens, and some of those pests that we have to deal with and how to get rid of those. And recently, I've been actually getting a lot of phone calls about hay questions. So a lot of guys are putting up their hay now, have done the last couple weeks here. And just kind of touching on that, right now the famous question I always get is, well, how much are my rounds going to go for? What's a good price? And so, here right in North Dakota, we don't have a dedicated market. Most of the markets that we have to look for, and I say that as in a hay auction, we have to look to Minnesota, South Dakota, and even Iowa for some of that data, and really understanding what type of hay you're putting up and what the nutrient value for that hay is going to be is really going to determine that price. And so cattle feeders who purchase most of their feed stuff, or cow-calf producers who are having a short hay crop, they're looking to buy or have excess hay on hand. Landowners who rent out hay ground or shares, and farmers with damaged crops, such as hail, which we've had, or in this central area, really some wind damage, are really negotiating and trying to find the best value out there for their hay and get a good price for their market. Current grain prices and unit total digestible nutrients, that's the energy that makes up that protein within that hay, it is available, and that's about 8 cents per pound. And so when you're thinking about out your round bales. If they're 1,200, 1,400, depending on the tonnage and the poundage, it's about 8 cents per pound. And so for beef cattle use, this suggests about a $65 to $95 value on hay. Again, depending on quality, whether it's your first, your second, or your third cutting, really plays a factor in that. Premiums are associated with your dairy quality hays, and that's going to be a lot more with some alfalfa mixed in with that grass. Clean horse hay, there's also a higher premium. Any hay that is a little more dusty doesn't fare well for the horses. So you want to make sure that you're looking for a hay that it isn't wet, that it's dry, but not too dusty. And once it starts to get dust, that's a sign that it's probably last year's cutting. So you want to stay away from that. And then also there's always a premium for your packaging if you're going to be using net wrap, or if it's a large square or small square round bale, whatnot. So there are some premiums on the market there. Additional hay price information is posted in trade publications, which are often represented throughout different hay auctions within states nearby like Minnesota, South Dakota, and Iowa. In 2014, there's a state average report from the North Dakota Farm and Ranch Business Management Program, puts together the cost to produce hay on cash rented land. For that was about $65 per ton. This includes labor and management, with an average yield of about 2 tons per acre for alfalfa and 1.2 tons per acre for grass hay. And so if you are out there and you're producing that alfalfa hay, you're probably going to be seeing a better premium than just your regular tame hay or native grasses. Based on some local sale listings right here in the south central region of North Dakota, large round bales of alfalfa are going for anything from $45 to $100, depending on the cutting, again, first or second cutting. Your oat straw rounds are listed typically for $40 to $75 each round bale. And then, of course, those small grass bales, those are anywhere from $3 to $4. I found a great place to kind of figure out your average means of what you should be selling your hay for, or what you should be buying your hay for. Take a look on Bisman online, and you can find a lot of hay markets on there, and kind of find out if you're in the right for selling, or if you're in the right for buying. And so again, that information, I will be putting out a PSA here, so you should be seeing that in your local newspapers soon. And with that, I believe we're going to be taking a break. Oh, actually, we got 2 minutes here. So we're going to be talking about another project concerning hay yet. This year, all the local extension agents, the ag extension agents, have been asked to collect at least two samples. I think actually I'm quoted to do 4 samples. I don't know how I got the...
Because you have a bigger county and you're just awesome.
I think I just got the short end of the stick on that.
And you're new, and
I think that's probably where it
the
came
largest
in.
one.
Yeah, I'm new, so I got stuck with 4. Anyways, the study kind of has to do with, it revolves around that hay that you're getting from the road ditches, and looking at what type of TDN values and protein values really is associated with ditch hay. We don't have a lot of that on hand. And so really being able to analyze that and figure out what the value of that hay is, and when is the best time to feed that hay. When you have cows coming in that are going to be calving, you need to be giving them a little bit more protein. And so again, that ditch hay project is going to be going till mid-September. So if you want to be part of this project, please contact me. That's Ashley Stegman at the Burleigh County Extension Office. Our number is 701-221-6865. Thank you very much. I have so many numbers in my head going on. Again, I am able to come out, take several samples, and I will be submitting 4 samples for our county area. So if you want to be one of those individuals, please let me know. Again, we are looking at what the kind of nutritional value is in ditch hay. And with that,
I think now it's our break time.
I think it is now. So we're going to be taking a break, and we'll be right back after the message. Welcome back to the Extension Connection. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. My name's Ashley Stegman. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Agent, and Amelia Dahl, our 4-H agent. So today we are talking, a lot of questions I get lately, of course, deal with lawns or trees. And right now, our actual Bismarck City Forester is on maternity leave, so I hope everything's going well there. We are fielding a lot of questions for the Bismarck citizens, and with all these storms that are kind of coming through, passing through, and whenever you have any type of wind damage, here's just kind of a reminder: if you lose, that top 50% of that canopy of that tree, more than likely that tree will not be productive. It will not get healthy again. It's going to be too much of a stress, too much of a shock on that tree system. And so that's probably one you're going to want to get removed. Whenever there is a tree that is close to a building, a home, any type of foundation, you just have to think, you don't want to be that person that tree falls on. So if you're going to be in a situation like that, it's better to remove the tree than leave it and see what happens. Another thing we're getting a lot of calls on are the lawns. Right now, we're starting to see our pretty emerald green lawns turn yellow.
Isn't that just kind of par for the course living in North Dakota?
It is. It is. Your expectations, you maybe have to dial down a little bit. Those emerald green lawns are kind of, they require a lot of love and care. Yes, TLC, tender love and care. A lot of nutrients, a lot of water's being pumped into those lawns. Right now, if you're seeing yellowing in your lawn, that's perfectly normal. Non-irrigated lawns will go dormant due to the summer heat. Avoid fertilizing and using any type of herbicides. You can leave that grass when it gets yellow like that. You can leave it grow a little bit taller if needed. That actually can help capture some of that moisture and keep that sod healthy. So leave that lawn a little bit longer if you have that yellowing lawn out there. Lawns will awaken. They'll come back out of that dormancy when the temps start to cool off and when the fall comes back.
So with your yard, is it recommended that you bag your grass clippings or leave them on the yard to mulch?
That is kind of it's really up to you. A lot of people, they'll be on each side of the fence. The individuals that bag say, they want that very nice spongy-like turf. They want, that extra feeling there. Individuals that leave the grass clippings there, it's said, you're just putting some fertilizer back down in that, because once that grass clipping starts to decay, it really does put nutrients back in the ground. So it's really up to you what you want to do. I do not bag. I just let it sit there. So it's really your own
personal preference.
Personal preference. That's right.
And should you be cutting your lawn short or tall?
Well,
is this another one of those personal preference things?
That's if you want that very manicured lawn, you're probably going to be cutting it a little bit shorter. Now, by cutting it shorter, you're going to you're probably opening your sod and your turf up to more disease, more insects, some more bacterias that can kind of latch onto those blades of grass. So by leaving it a little bit longer, you shade it out. There's even weed control. That's another option for weed control. Leave your grasses a little bit longer, and it will it will kill out some of that weed. It won't allow it to grow. If you do it short, there's no competition for that weed and that grass to grow against. And so that weed is what you see growing. Whereas if you let it go a little bit longer, it weeds itself out type thing.
Fair enough.
Yep. So another thing that we have been having some discussion about with our lawns are grubs. Those icky...
I hate those things.
Icky little things. Grubs, their purpose, what they do is they eat the roots. So they're creating dead spots in your lawn. You can peel back that damaged turf to reveal the pest. That's really how you find them. You won't find them on the top of your grass blades or on that top turf. You will have to pull back the turf to find them. If more than 3 grubs are per square foot, then you should probably be treating it with something. A carbaryl will do a great work with those grubs. They'll take care of that issue. And then also irrigate deeply when you are administering that carbaryl in your soil. You want to make sure that chemical is leaching all the way down and penetrating those grubs there. Another thing that we're seeing in lawns, some powdery mildew. I know actually that's something that I have been seeing in my lawn. And that most of the time where you're going to find that's almost looks like a baby powder substance on blades of grass. It's going to be in your areas that are a little bit more higher in moisture and then shaded areas. Because there's at night that dew doesn't get dried off because there's not enough sunlight there. And so that's something just to be aware of. There really isn't a way to fix it. It just is what it is. You could possibly cut your grass a little bit shorter in those areas to reduce that powdery mildew, but usually that powdery mildew won't hurt your actual turf or do anything to really severely harming the health of the grass. And the last one is red thread. Now, red thread is actually I find it kind of fun to find in lawns.
I never saw it before we got this publication, and I thought it was kind of pretty.
Well, I guess I maybe want to say pretty, but it is kind of it's different. It's different, and it's definitely you will notice it when you see it in your lawns. Pink. It's red thread, but really it kind of has a pink look to it. It's pink threads that grow on the blades. It's a fungus, so you want to be using some type of fungicide to relieve it type thing. There's a chlorothanol that does really well. And again, you need to irrigate deeply when needed. Fertilize in this fall. And then this fungus does not damage the roots. So it's only on that top turf layer. And so the turf, once you administer that chemical, that turf will heal quickly.
So what causes that fungus?
All right. So that fungus, it's a bacterial blight. And really it's got to deal with the conditions, the climate. Hot, muggy weather will do it, along with moisture.
So a lot of what we've been having.
A lot of what we've been having, yep. A lot of our trees, our gardens, our lawns, they're hurting. They might be hurting because of this hot, humid weather that we've been having. And so that's something to always, kind of be mindful of. And then if you're one of those tree owners that are starting to see some early leaf drop and you've got some poplars, that's pretty common. You might actually have you might be seeing a leaf blight, and that blight would be the reason why you're shedding the leaves. Important, any type of leaf droppage early, to rake those leaves up, and if those leaves do have a fungi on, you want to make sure that you're picking them up, getting them out so you're not spreading that fungus. Again, pruning helps the situation, and the reduce in humidity can help reduce the disease in the canopies, but we can't do much about that humidity, I guess.
Right.
We just kind of have to deal with it.
All right, so if people have questions about things we haven't talked about as far as trees and grasses, they can give us a call at the office.
That is right. We have myself or Kelsey Sheldon, our horticulture intern, will also be there to assist you with any of these questions. Looks like we're going to be taking a break here, and we'll be right back with more Extension Connection. Welcome back to the Extension Connection. Today we are pre-recorded, I should say. Myself, Ashley Stegman, the Ag and Natural Resource Agent from Burleigh County, will not be able to do the live episode on Wednesday, so that's why Amelia and I are here doing it the day before. Just so you guys know that we are going to be having a nutrient management day. This will be held August 18th, and this will be at the Carrington Research Center. Visitors will learn about several aspects of manure management, including manure as fertilizer, during the Carrington Research Extension Center's 2015 Nutrient Management Day program. This program is set to be from 10 a.m. to 3:30, again, Tuesday, August 18th. It will include a review of 2 ongoing compost demonstrations, one on a side-by-side comparison of compost manure rows turned into compost turner versus a bucket loader. The other demonstration tracks mortality composting. And that one actually I have seen personally. It's actually kind of cool.
I don't know if I would ever consider manure cool.
Well, somebody does.
But some people do. We have a specialist in Extension who's very good at her job, and that is her expertise.
Yes, and there's actually 2 now.
Oh, there's 2 now?
Yes, there is 2 now. So, moving up in the world, I guess.
Yes.
All right, so the manure from the center's 700-head feedlot and cow herd is spread on the center in Carrington's fields annually. The center's 28-year cropping system project uses composted manure as fertilizer in an 8-crop, 3-tillage, and 4 fertility treatment for every year. And they've had some great, outstanding research and studies done on that. Recommendations for using manure as fertilizer. Knowing the nutrient content of the manure, get samples analyzed in a specialized lab. Very cool. I didn't know that, but that's an option out there. And then know your nutrient recommendations for your crops. And that's something that I think we all could really learn from this management day, knowing when too much or too little is enough when putting this out on your crop fields. Again, this program is August 18th at the Carrington Research Center, 10 a.m. to 3:30, Tuesday, August 18th. There is a registration fee of $15. You can either call our office at 701-221-6865, or you can call Mary Berg at 701-652-2951 for more information and to get registered. They're, I believe, going to have a lunch for you. So, they always make up some really good food for any of all of our field days. So that's another added bonus there.
Sounds about as exciting as manure can get.
Oh,
I'm not a producer, and so I don't. All I know is my little garden.
Well, that manure can be used in your garden too.
Yes.
It acts as great fertilizer.
Yes. So now we're going to kind of shift gears away from the agriculture side of things that we've been talking about earlier in the show. And my job title is 4-H Youth Development. So not only do I help the 4-H program in our county, but I also do youth development stuff with everybody in the county. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about some ways to help improve your memory. And I know that it makes some kids shudder that school is just around the corner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But with school just around the corner, that means tests are just around the corner, and tests mean that we need to memorize stuff. And so a few ways to improve your memory and hopefully do the best you can on those tests that are coming up. The first thing is making sure that you direct all of your attention to what you're studying. So getting the kids out of the house, asking your roommate to leave, shutting your bedroom door.
Maybe turning off your phone.
Turning off your phone. I think a phone is one of the biggest culprits. This is going to date myself, but back in my day, we didn't have phones that were binging every 5 minutes. And so we were able to go.
But I bet you had MSN Messenger.
I totally did. I definitely had MSN Messenger.
That chat window can be a problem too. So
Yes.
make sure you close all of your windows on your computer
Yes.
while doing your homework.
And don't underestimate the power of sitting down with nothing going on in front of a book and reading it. So getting that attention fully toward what you're studying. The next one is avoid cramming by establishing regular study activities. And I think everybody who's done any kind of school can attest to cramming. Did you cram in college, Ashley?
Oh, definitely.
All the time?
Yes.
Were you a chronic crammer?
Yeah. Whenever there was going to be an exam or a test, I pretty much blocked out that night before, and that's when I was going to retain the whole semesters.
Yes, and just so we all know, knowledge does not work like osmosis. You cannot fall asleep on your textbook and expect to know that information.
Oh, you mean it just doesn't convert over?
No.
Oh, man.
So having regular study sessions that are less than the night, or that are farther in advance than the night before, because another one of the helpful hints is to make sure you get sleep. So if you're up studying the night before till 2 a.m., like I feel like you did, Ashley.
Probably.
Yep. You aren't getting that sleep that you need. So researchers have long known that sleep is important for memory and learning. Some recent research has shown that taking a nap after you learn something new can actually help you learn faster and remember better.
So I should be taking naps at work, you mean?
I plead the fifth. One study actually found that sleeping after learning something new actually leads to physical changes in the brain. So sleep-deprived mice experience less dendritic growth following a learning task than well-rested mice. So they're comparing us to mice, but I think it's very valid. So the next time you're struggling to learn some new information, consider getting a good night's sleep after you study.
Okay.
So maybe don't take a nap at the office. Just go home and you can use, honey, I learned a lot today at the office and I just need to absorb it, so I'm going to go to bed now.
Just need a 20-minute catch up, right?
Right.
Just 20 minutes.
Let me know how
fine.
that goes over.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing is structure and organize the information you're studying. Whether this means highlighting in your book, using Post-it notes. I was notorious for copying my notes. Like I would take notes in class, and then when I was studying, I would recopy my notes.
I did that too for a while, and I found that you're really duplicating your effort.
You are, but you're also essentially relearning that because you're putting that information, you learned it, you wrote it down, and while you were learning it, you were focusing on the verbal information that you were learning. And then as you transfer it over from one to the other, you're focusing on the writing of it because you don't have those external forces. So you're actually using two different learning styles. And so it's helping your brain relearn those things differently.
I was notorious. I had to take notes all the time. I took notes on everything. And
you still take notes on everything.
I still take notes on everything, and it's just the way I work. Now, my husband, we went to college together, and he doesn't take notes. He sits there and he just listens, and he absorbs it that way. And I can't do that. So I am going to continue to take my notes.
There's nothing wrong with taking notes. I actually struggle taking notes because I focus too much on what I'm writing and not listening, but I have to be doing something else. So whether that's playing with a stress ball, which I have a lot of. Ashley's laughing because I have a bucket of them in my office. Playing with a Slinky. I doodle on the edge of my paper sometime. So just find what works for you and your learning style and really capitalize on that and give your studying structure. Because if you're studying your history one way and you're studying your geography another way, there's something missing there. You're not fully capitalizing on your learning style. The next one is utilize mnemonic devices to remember information. Do you know what a mnemonic is? Like a saying. Did you ever have any songs?
Roy G. Biv.
Roy G. Biv is a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. When I was in 5th grade, we had a song. Amar is be, do, did, does, could, would, should, where, was, been, being, must, may, must, might, can, shall, has, have, had, will.
Those are all verbs.
Yep.
Okay.
So it was a way.
I win. I get my A for the day in English. Yes.
So come up with fun ways to remember those things. Even as adults, it's easy for us to remember mnemonic devices. So set them to a tune of your favorite song. I rewrite songs all the time, and people think I'm crazy, but it's just the way I learn things. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, a few more ways to improve your memory.
Welcome back to the Housing Network. I am
You're the lovely Greg Larson.
lovely Greg Larson.
Okay.
The
We have the
wizard-
handsome
the
Scott
wizard of
Davis.
ugly. And the handsome Scott Davis.
And, well, we don't know what Jewel looks like. We know Jewel. We know what he looks like. He's
We know what
handsome,
Jewel
too.
Looks like. He's
He's the most interesting man in the country.
There we go.
He's
Okay.
the head-turning man in Sioux Falls.
So is he like the guy in the commercials?
He is.
He is,
He's
yeah.
the Indian version of that.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
All right.
We all know
okay.
that.
All right.
All right, Jewel, now that you're blushing, and of course, since you're on the phone, we wouldn't know that. We're going to guess. Tell me just a little bit about where you go. I do have one specific question I'd like you to start with. If someone wants to buy some acreage in the country and build a house on it, can you work with them on that? Or is your 271 limit on that, or is that a different program, or am I just wishing?
No, you can do rural properties. We tend to not like things over 20 acres. So when we get into that, if you're buying, we do see trust land transactions that are 20 plus acres. There's an 80 acre plot. We like to pinch those down, to 20 acres or less. We don't like to take mortgages on anything over 20 acres. Not to say that we haven't, but HUD just kind of frowns upon that. And I think so would the BIA, especially. The BIA does their job there to make sure that lenders aren't taking advantage of the tribal member and over-collateralizing, over-securing their notes. So if I have a tribal member that, is borrowing $60,000 to put a double-wide manufactured home out on his 80 acres, that 80 acres might be worth, several $1,000s, depending on where it's at, and we don't need to take the full 80 acres. So it is possible to use the program. That's typically what we're doing. We're doing, like I said, we're building markets, and most of our tribal members want to live out on their own land or their family's land, or have a home site lease given to them by the tribe that's out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. And if we want to be on fee land off reservation, you can still work with your clients? Same
thing. And then, of course, when you get off tribal trust land and into fee simple land, then your comparable sales come into play a little bit harder, because it is fee land, so they're going to look a little harder for fee simple comparable sales. But again, if they can't find them, HUD allows us to use the cost approach.
Great. Sounds great. So we're talking about tribal members. Is that universal across the country? And I know the answer to the question, but I'd like to have you give it.
Yeah, each tribe determines what their tribal enrollment degree of Indian blood is. So we don't dictate, the lender or HUD doesn't dictate that. It's if the tribe has, whatever the enrollment policy is, we respect that. So as long as they have a tribal ID card with enrollment number, they can use the program. So, like, for example, the Cherokee Nation, they don't have a blood quantum requirement. They have a descendancy policy. So if your family was a descendant of the Cherokee tribe, they just automatically enroll you with that kind of proof. But my tribe here in South Dakota, we have to be a quarter of Rosebud Sioux tribe to be an enrolled member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. So each tribe dictates what that is and what their membership enrollment requirements are.
Okay, and that's pretty universal, I think, in the tribes in the Dakotas, isn't it? You have to be a quarter?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because believe it or not, as blue-eyed and blonde-haired, well, when I used to have hair, it was blonde, as I am, I'm a son of the American Revolution. You can go back to pre-revolutionary times in my family, and on my mother's side, one of my relatives was widowed, and then he married a Pequot woman in Connecticut.
Yep.
And I'm from that lineage, and Pequot is like the Cherokee, so I could, if I wanted to, get a tribal membership card. I have chosen not to because, for me, it kind of feels like cheating.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a pure descendant, and it's a small tribe. They don't have any reservation
Plus,
land.
your
There's
name
really
is-
no good reason to.
Your name is Lars Son.
Lars Son, that's
and
correct.
that sounds more Norwegian than
It does.
Scandinavian than
and
anything
this
else.
comes from the Penwarden McTavish side of the
okay,
family,
right.
so it's Welsh Scotch.
Okay.
Wow.
And this goes all the way back to, well, the guy's name was Israel Putnam Hunt. And he was in the Revolutionary War, and just prior to the war, he married. And so she was, I think they always give him an English name. I think it was Margaret Hunt, as I recall. So there you go. But
It's good that you know the history of your
family,
people, your family. That's
well,
really important.
I must confess, I need to do some research on the Pequot tribe. I know very little about them, but it'd be kind of interesting.
Sure.
So back to what we're talking about.
You
and
digressed.
A lot less about me.
Yeah, you digress.
Jewel, how can someone get a hold of you? I know there's banks, as we talked about, that refer you, but if we do have a tribal member out here who's looking to be financed, or a realtor who has
This is for all the realtors.
Every realtor who's listening to this, pay attention to this.
Yes.
Right.
And I will point out to you realtors that Jewel will be at the Convention of the Dakotas in Watertown, South Dakota, in September. So you can all stop at his booth and get information from him there.
Absolutely, do it.
But how can we get a hold of you, Jewel?
By phone, my work cell is 605-496-5266. And for tribal members that want to do an online application, you can go directly to my website. My branch website is www.HUD184loans.com. That's HUD184LOANS.com. And if you click on the pre-qual button, go through the screens. As soon as you hit submit, it comes to my email in about 3 seconds. And my team tries to get a response back to the tribal member within 48 hours.
And for First Tribal Lending, it's first, as in it's not FIRST. It's first, the abbreviation. Number one.
Yeah, the number one.
Yep. Do the Google or Bing or whatever search thing you do, and you'll pop up. And is your picture on there so everybody can see who they're dealing with?
It is, and so
all right.
Is my entire team that's out there. So I have Eric Sprankle, Adam Hicks, and Nate Schmidt in my office that help originate the loans, and we have processors and assistants in the office. So we have a full team here in Sioux Falls.
Yep. So it's not like even though it's always good to go in and see somebody. This is really online. It works, and they can talk to you. They can see what you look like, so they know who they're dealing with.
Yeah, and for the real estate companies that are out there listening, I did this. I haven't done a lot of presentations to real estate groups, which is kind of funny if you think about it. But I'm willing. I travel quite a bit, so if you have a real estate agency that's wanting me to come in and do a presentation on the program, I'd be glad to do that.
Okay, so Jewel, I call in and I want to start this procedure. What questions are you going to ask me, and what are you going to tell us?
First of all, we start with your credit and your income. So we're going to talk to you about your credit, and we're going to talk to you about your income. We need to verify that your income's stable. There's many different sources of income that come off the reservations. We have some per capita gaming income with some gaming tribes that income can be used. But the biggest part, if you're employed and you're W-2 income type borrower, then we're gonna ask what your hourly wages, or get your W-2s from you and a recent pay stub, and determine what your income is, and then take a look at your credit and cover that in detail with you. So those are the two main the biggest hurdles. And then, of course, the education piece and just talking with the tribal member about the program and the steps in the mortgage process, because the mortgage lending world is really still new to our culture on the reservation. So we're doing a lot of education every day.
Okay, and that's going to
program and steps.
That's going to lead us into our close. Scott, what do you want to tell me about home ownership?
Exactly, and Jules, exactly right. The I don't think there is a Lakota or Dakota word for ownership in our world. But what this done for my family is created a feeling, making it personal of ownership. It's a different feeling. I tell you. I know that the tribes are really stressed out with their housing authority departments for maintenance, for etc. Kind of the dependency thinking, so to speak. But what this does is create ownership. So I think in everybody's world, ownership, when you own something, you're gonna value that. You're gonna have a higher personal value to that, and that's what it's done for our family too. So, and it leads to other things, the ownership of our cars, our homes, the ownership. It's really self-sovereignty to me is what it really is too. So really glad that Jewel has this program out there. I encourage all the listeners out there to really take a look at his website, call him, utilize me to get to him, whatever he may be. But there's a big opportunity out there for us too as well. So anything we can do to help you guys out there.
How do people get a hold of you, Scott?
S.J. Davis at ND.gov. My office is right at the Capitol, first floor, and 328-2432 is my direct line.
North Dakota Indian Affairs Commission.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, thank you very much for listening. This is a subject I think we will revisit in the coming months to see how it's developing, and thank you so much for listening to the Dakota Housing Network.